Welcome to 5-Round MMA. We have a great show today. We talk RFA versus WEC, and we cover UFC on FS1. Please welcome Alex Ramirez and Albert Cita.
Thank you very much. Our producer, Guillermo Cita. Saturday night, Chael.
Sonnen versus Shogun.
I don't know what you call that performance by Chael, man.
It was amazing. Stacked card.
Yeah, it was a very entertaining fight.
Top to bottom.
Card.
For once, I wish I could shake Dana White's hand and said, thank you. Finally, you do something.
I swear I thought the Uriah Faber fight was the main event, and then I was like, oh, crap, Alistair Overeem still has to fight.
I clearly forgot about Overeem fight.
Well, I think everybody wants to forget about an Overeem fight.
Oh, yeah, true. But
I think Overeem. I think he did forget the fight.
It was a good card.
But we'll get to that a little bit later on. As for right now, we got latest news and headlines.
So let's start off Bellator news. It was announced that they added another pay-per-view bout. King Mo versus Emmanuel Newton. Your thoughts? Will you buy the pay-per-view now that they're announcing more and more fights?
King Mo.
It's starting to look like a stacked card.
What's for the interim light heavyweight championship. So along with that, added Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez 2 for the lightweight championship.
And big news right there.
Tito Rampage, and supposedly rumor going around to try to get Pat Kern on the card.
Correct.
So after they made the Tito Rampage announcement, Bjorn Ribney was quick to announce, "Hey, we're trying to get as many title fights as possible on this card." So I think
he took a listen to our podcast first, and he's like, "Dang, dude, you know what? After hearing that survey, we gotta stack that card."
Yeah, the survey results are in. Did you hear it? So I think it's lining up pretty good. I think now. I think they are to be smarter.
Now it's looking like a pay-per-view card.
Yeah. So
I'm just hoping it's gonna be $30. Because that's what I want to pay. I mean, I'll pay the $45.
Yeah. But
I would prefer to pay.
What I wonder
$30.
is if this is going to be a change in anything different as long as getting rid of the title format, because they just skipped over everybody else in the lightweight division, gave Eddie Alvarez a shot. So
yeah. Well, it's hard when you're in the pay-per-view to do a tournament mode and have people pay to see the tournament.
Yeah.
But I think they shouldn't get rid of the tournament because this is where Michael Chandler came from, the tournament.
Yeah.
Ben Askren came through the tournament.
So
it has its
maybe
pros and cons. But
I mean, this is our first one, so maybe we have to see how they're going to structure. Maybe they'll do like a bunch of free ones, the tournament, and then the tournament champion goes to pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Something like that.
But people are just speculating.
It's the first one, so it's hard. And it's Eddie Alvarez. I mean,
well, we got Eddie Alvarez without the tournament.
Out of all the drama and everything, I mean, they had to. They had no other choice.
Online whether or not does this mean they get rid of the tournament now? They're just giving away title shots now. But I think.
Well, he was rumored to go to the UFC. Let's see how good Eddie Alvarez really is.
I heard Dana White still wants to talk to him too.
Yeah, I think he's a good fighter. So I mean, but if he loses Michael Chandler again, I think his value loses.
A lot.
Stock. It depends. If it's a war like last time, then I think nobody.
But you know what would be
loses
interesting if Eddie Alvarez does lose, sign with UFC, and then tears up the UFC. Oh, I don't know. That's saying a lot. That's saying a lot.
Well, we shall see though.
So next one is Brian Bowles is suspended. He tested positive.
I think after UFC 160. Right?
Yes, and he's not appealing it.
He had elevated testosterone ratio. Didn't really argue it. He's all right. Just give it.
And that's
9 months suspension.
That descent of Brian Bowles continues.
Curious, man.
And it's weird because I feel really bad for the guy. How do you go from being undefeated, the WEC champion, and then just losing and getting caught with testosterone? I mean,
we had the injury for what he was gone for a while.
Yeah.
Maybe he not
like a year and a half he was gone.
Yeah, maybe he just needs time to clear his head now. Maybe switch things up.
It's funny too because the more we talk about like stuff like this, the more because before when I used to hear fighters going to go see sports psychologists, I was like, I don't know, that's kind of weird. But then now that you see stuff like this and like the way Chael Sonnen has bounced back, I think the more fighters do need to go seek out some sort of like a sports psychologist because obviously, I mean, these are just fighters falling apart. Because it's good. I mean, I try to imagine like riding a bike. I mean, you don't forget how to ride a bike.
Yeah. So
how do you forget your skills? It's all mental. So
and it's one of those weird things where you don't get to fight every day. I mean, sparring is not the same. Every fight, you spar. It's not like a real fight. So you fight with me. If you're lucky, 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
And are you always mentally checked into the fight the whole year, or can you turn on, off? How do you turn on that fight mode? So I guess. And plus, I always say there's something wrong with you if you want to fight for a living anyway. So you have to deal with it too much.
You have to see a psychologist because you choose that.
Yeah,
unless
your profession.
Unless you're a little Machida, then it's a little bit different.
Then you're was ahead of the curve, reverse psychology.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get hit.
Exactly.
I like that lead-in because that's our next breaking news. There's two. Machida rumored to fight Nick Diaz, but there's also Machida actually called out Chael Sonnen after his win over Shogun.
Well, this is also after Machida was rumored to fight Vito Belfort.
Exactly.
And then also Tim Kennedy now is interested in fighting Machida if he doesn't take any fight. So Machida seems to be a hot topic now recently, even after a loss. So
yeah, hot topic because nobody wants to fight him, and then some people.
But everybody wants to fight him.
Yeah.
No one wants to fight him, but everybody wants to fight
it's
him.
it's like Randy Couture said. Like he's so like Randy Couture picked him as his last fight for a reason. I want to try and solve this guy. And like so,
I think you're right because it's like you're like I kind of do want to fight him, but then he can kick.
I see Machida as almost a carnival game. Like I can knock that thing down with one throw. It's easy.
Yeah.
And then you try and do it, and you can't do it. Yeah. So like that's why it's like almost like Machida a carnival game. I can pay $1 and knock those balls down. Let me do it real quick. Doesn't happen.
And then they figure out real quick.
A lot harder than it seems when you have to do it. So
look at Phil Davis. He's been crying and whining that he won that fight. He's even tweeting up his stats. But when they quickly say, "Do you want a 5-round fight?" then against him, no. I beat him.
Whoa,
no,
I'm a Phil Davis fan. Whoa, that's crazy talk.
Machida said, "Let's do it again. 5 rounds this time." He was hesitant and everything. If you're very confident that you won a fight, why would you be hesitant?
What's the point of fighting in MMA if you're not going after the championship? Why would he waste his time to fight another rematch with Leo Machida?
That he won it? To prove it that he won it.
Okay, so then if he loses, then he goes back down. But right now, he didn't. He won the first fight. Now he's setting up for his title shot. Why are you gonna dog him when Machida was trying to do the exact same thing not too long ago?
To prove to everybody without a shadow of doubt that he beat Machida the first time, I could do it again.
Oh wow!
So because it's weird. Because do you want to be the like the champion?
He beat. Why don't you guys get through your head? He beat Machida.
No, undisputed champion.
That's that's undisputed.
Or do you want to be some kind of paper champion like John Cena? You know what I'm saying?
This isn't WWE talk.
I always got to compare it because it's the best way to do it.
No matter what you guys say, Phil Davis beat Machida. Phil Davis doesn't have to fight Machida. If he want to
be a paper champion, he needs to go and fight Machida again and clearly win.
So let me ask you, what do you guys want to see? Machida against Diaz, Belfort, or Kennedy? Which would you want to see, Albert?
Well, first of all, I want to see Machida, period. If it's Machida just hitting on like a coconut tree, I want to see it.
Kicking down a bamboo like Van Damme in a blood sport.
But at the end of the day,
kickboxer.
What I want to see is, because I get sick and tired that Machida doesn't get the credit he deserves. So I want the hardest guy there is, which is all three of them versus Machida.
At once?
It's what I want to see to prove people or not. But at the end of the day, I really hope he does get the Diaz fight because
the Nick Diaz fight.
I think this will prove two things. One, people keep saying, "Oh, someone needs to put some pressure on Machida," and suppose Diaz does that. So let's really see what happens if he puts pressure on Machida. Two, I'm sick and tired of talking about Diaz. Diaz this, Diaz that.
Let's gonna happen a lot more if he fights Machida.
Let's put him to sleep. Is what
Machida ended.
Yeah,
and the Diaz bro.
Yeah, you want to retire? Machida will put you to retirement.
Okay. What about you?
Me, I say Vitor Belfort. He's talking about pressure. Vitor Belfort's the guy that pressure. He's the one that's gonna run after him. Yes, he's gonna run after him, trying to knock him out. So I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's gonna be a boring fight. Nick Diaz versus Machida. It's gonna be more of a chess match, which is fine. I like the technical side of it. But at the same time, entertainment value, a lot of people are going to be disgruntled about it. But me, I would love to see that. But I think Vitor Belfort versus Machida would be a better fight.
I would love to see Machida. If you choose Gum, I want to see it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he has a strategy the way he chooses it as well.
Yeah, I think for me, like the Belfort fight is interesting, but I think the Diaz match would be more interesting because Diaz is boxing against Machida's karate. What really will win in a fight like this? So, but we shall see.
Yeah,
more likely to end up fighting nobody probably.
Yeah, Phil Davis won.
Or Tim Katie. Tim Katie watch. Is that it for latest news?
Yeah, that's it for latest news.
All right, so stick around, guys. We'll have a little debate about the future of RFA and WEC, so stick around.
Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com. RFA 9 is in the books. It was this Friday. What were your thoughts since Alex Ramirez was there reporting live?
I was there live, the media table. It was an overall good card. I think it was a great venue at the StubHub Center. The nice setup. RFA President Ed Soares had I think he has big plans for the organization. The card from top to bottom was a lot of good, solid fights. A lot of young, hungry fighters who were on the cusp of getting to the big time. UFC, so they were all willing to show what they got on Access Television. Pat Miletich was doing a cover. Boss Rutan was in the crowd. Machida was in the crowd in the corner at one time. So Verdum was there too. So it was also kind of like this sense of like, okay, this is like kind of built into something bigger.
Yeah.
But overall, card top to bottom was pretty good.
Okay, so my question to you guys: let's compare RFA because RFA really wants to be like the minor leagues of the UFC. So the closest thing to the minor leagues that ever existed was the WEC. Do you guys see any resemblance, any differences? Do you see any advantages for RFA, or did WC do it things better or worse?
Well, my thing is with the RFA, they really are making no secret that they want to be a feeder organization to the UFC. They even said it in the broadcast of the PA. Oh, RFA is somewhat of an unofficial feeder program to the UFC. And even after Pedro Munoz won his title, the first question they asked him, "Are you ready for the UFC?" Which is kind of weird when you ask how many.
So they're really pushing for it. Rather than WC, it naturally happened.
Yeah, I mean, WC seemed like they were they were making stars, and UFC's like, oh man, if we don't absorb them, they're gonna compete against us.
The top talent in UFC right now, almost half or even more.
Yeah,
or
Guillermo wrote
WC
an
stars.
article about like how Jose Aldo, Anthony Pettis, Benson Henderson, all these guys are.
Carlos Condit
Carlos
technically
Condit.
came from WC.
Brian Stan.
Brian Stan from
Yeah.
WC.
So, doesn't the UFC already have like a minor league? Let's say, just
one?
I mean,
The Tough?
So the Tough, isn't that the minor league for the UFC? Because if
In
RFA
a way,
is begging,
it is because usually they bring in most of them,
Yeah.
and then they develop them. But I think it's I wouldn't say it's a good formula because a lot of Ultimate Fighters don't last.
Winners especially.
yeah,
If your winner doesn't last,
look at
Yeah.
Uriah Hall.
it's not a good way to develop talent or
Yeah.
to get or a way to get talent.
Well,
I think.
Alex brought up a good point. Why not have all the Tough participants go on to the RFA?
Especially the ones that say throw them into the fire. Okay, here's a guy from Tough, and throw him against a UFC veteran. They're gonna lose every time.
Kevin Casey was on the card.
Yeah.
So that's somewhat. I mean, there's a glimpse of it that I think will work for them because Kevin Casey was in it and he has this big hype around him because he was in Strikeforce. He's a Gracie black belt, so he does stuff. But then he wasn't able to perform in Tough Enough. But then again, Tough Enough, there's so much scenarios going around that maybe a fighter. Not the best fighter comes out of it, but
Yeah.
maybe
Especially
the one
mentally, yeah.
maybe the one that was better prepared.
Yeah.
So
Or mentally strong enough. I
yeah,
think.
mentally strong, and then they go to UFC and then they have the UFC jitters and it doesn't perform. That's what happened to Kevin Casey. I mean, he might have just had a bad performance, but this way we put him back to these lower cards here, and then we find out for reals like before we completely wipe our hands with them. Let's see if he really can hang or not, and he won on the fight in an impressive way. So
overpowering. But you guys I equate this to Major League Baseball and AAA baseball.
Yeah.
So when you bring a guy up, you think he's good enough to like big leagues, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When that happens in UFC, usually what he doesn't cut it. He doesn't
let him
go. Go somewhere else.
and sometimes it's probably the worst thing that could happen. Like let's take Paul Daly for example.
Yeah.
He did something that shouldn't have been done, and he should have. There should have been repercussions. But maybe not get rid of him completely because, I mean, the guy's on a tear and every other organization wants him.
Yeah.
You brought this point off air. You brought this point about Max Holloway.
Yeah.
You say he's really good, but he's kind of almost like not developed enough to where he can hang with the UFC.
Exactly.
Wouldn't he be perfect for something like the RFA?
Yeah. I think, like,
because Max Holloway, we like you, but you're just not ready yet.
Like, those type of fighters, I really wish they would get, like, 3 fights that's not top 10. But, because, I mean, these are very talented individuals, but sometimes, like, if you throw them into the fire so soon, they're not going to have a long career, and we might not even get to see the full potential they have. And if they would put Max Holloway RFA, I have no doubt that he will probably dominate, but he'll at least, excel and maybe it may improve.
Time to hone his craft.
Yeah, and then he'll peak at a certain point, and then put him in the UFC.
Then they'll bring him up.
Yeah.
And that way, almost like I know, like every different fight organization is different. Like the pre-fight stuff is different. At least have it under if it's under the UFC umbrella, the pre-fight workouts the same, and they're gonna get used to the routine.
And the other thing too, I think what's more important about a fight, it's the build-up.
Yeah.
And if a fighter doesn't have a build-up, you can't really build it up.
Because you always hear people like in the UFC,
and if you hear someone that's in the RFA destroying people, 5-fight winning streak, it's easier to sell them to the crowd to get instant title shot or a first contender title shot
Coming into the UFC.
Yeah.
And the other point, now that you're bringing up, how many times have we had fighters like towards the end of their careers, Tito Ortiz? I'll just give an example to baseball. Manny Ramirez is point of retirement. Hey, we'll give you a shot, but you're gonna go play with our AAA to prove you still have it.
And that's perfect.
And you get a Rampage, you get a Tito Ortiz. You guys still have that itch to fight. Go see if you guys can still contend.
And on top of that, like let's take Chuck Liddell for example. It sucks that he had to get knocked out 5 times, and I mean he got viciously knocked out, and maybe he didn't have to go through that for us to figure out it was time for him to retire. I mean, if they would have put him down in RFA, maybe he would have had a bad not get knocked out, but a bad performance, and then that would show him like, hey, if I can't keep up with these kids right here, I gotta let it go, rather than learning the hard way. Getting knocked out.
I think
ice cold.
On that road too, because the main event was Jeff Curran against Pedro Munoz, and Jeff Curran is a veteran, obviously.
Yeah.
Like over 90 professional fights, and if Pedro Munoz was for real, he could at least.
Who was only like 8-0.
Yeah, so he was able to hang with them. So okay, this kid's ready. Jeff Curran has some stuff in the tank. He still wants to fight still. So, but obviously he retired at the end of the night. But I mean, kind of like what you said. No, maybe a veteran.
It shows you where you're at.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's. Did you see anything good to highlight out of it? RFA 9
As far as fighters,
fighters, is there any fighter that stood out to you?
Brian Ortega had a good performance with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, a local boy in Torrance. He had a big crowd. The women's fight at the end, Justine Kitch, a Black House fighter. Obviously, women's 125 division, but women's fight was exciting. As general, that was a good fight. But overall, good card, I thought. But yeah, the RFA and UFC, I guess, I don't want to call it minor league, a feeder league, I guess is a proper term, I guess, to say it. So we shall see. I don't know if UFC is looking for one, or maybe RFA should just focus more on building up to what you guys can't ignore us anymore.
Yeah.
Like
and just absorb us, kind of like what WC did.
But absorb us, but keep us alive still.
Yeah. So that's it for RFA 9.
All right, so stick around, because coming up is the UFC Fight Night 26, Shogun versus Sonnen. This edition of 5Round MMA is brought to you by Rosal Records, bringing you the best in music and audio engineering. Make sure to check out rosalrecords.com.
What a stacked card on Saturday. It was FS1 on UFC on FS1.
FS1 Fight Night. I don't know what the official title was, but
it was Fight Night, but it was
station, new channel,
launching the Fox Sports 1 network.
I didn't really care for FS1 though. I mean, like if you saw outside of the fight, like the commercials.
Oh, you mean the channel?
Yeah, it doesn't compare to ESPN.
Or they're going to show just like poker tournaments and fishing tournaments. Like, I don't want to see that, because all the good sports were eaten up by ESPN.
How awkward was that panel? I saw it was Donovan McNabb, Andy Roddick, some NFL guy, and Gary Payton.
Yeah, I don't want to see regional tennis tournaments. Like, I'm not gonna tune into that.
So let's get into the card.
But they do have UFC. I will be checking in.
Yeah,
UFC on Saturday. UFC Fight Night, Shogun versus Sonnen.
So any undercard bouts stand out?
First, I want to go way down to the Facebook fights, and I know a lot of people miss this, and it's very important. Is James Vick, who lost against the Tough Enough champion Michael
Chiesa?
Yeah, so he lost to him, but he has an undefeated record.
Other than that loss?
Yeah.
It's unofficial loss, right?
Yeah, it's unofficial because it was in Tough.
Oh, okay.
It was in the semifinals. But he fought and he defeated Ramsey Nijum, who was another prospect from the Tough tournament. And James Vick won by submission, and he looked very impressive. He's undefeated, and I think he's someone to look out for. He fights in the lightweight division, so I think this is another guy people need to concentrate, see what's his next fight, keep an eye on him. The other one is Diego Brandao fought. He won.
He's back on a winning streak.
He's on a winning streak.
He went through the Tough tournament.
And that's the only reason I want to bring it up. Just he's in the winning side of it. I didn't think it was very impressive. And then we want to fast forward our way to Conor McGregor. I mean, everybody has been talking about him. Everybody has. And I didn't want to get on that bandwagon at first, because he did defeat someone that wasn't even really a high caliber guy, or I don't like to jump on it when it's not really against a known opponent.
So what was it on Saturday that you saw that made you
against
jump
Max
on the
Holloway?
bandwagon?
Well, first of all, he fought Max Holloway, and Max Holloway, I can't preach to the choir this much, because Max Holloway's awesome. He's legit. And McGregor just took it to him. I mean, gave him a beating, and it turned out that McGregor hurt his knee, and he was still able to do such a amazing performance.
Yeah, Holloway took some post-fight pictures of his face.
Yeah, and he was tore up. And this guy is exciting. He goes out, but there is a concern. I mean, Max Holloway's still young, so he wanted to stand and bang. But if you look at the losses that Conor McGregor does have, is by submission, and we didn't really get to see him on his back. So maybe if they put him up against a wrestler or a jiu-jitsu guy, maybe the hype won't be as big as it is, because we really do need to see that he has improved and he can be taken down, because his losses are from submission. So it'll be interesting to see who he gets next. If he keeps a stand-up guy, maybe we'll never get to see if he is the hype.
Yeah. You can see the pattern sometimes in UFC. If they really like a guy, they'll match him up against guys who aren't, the guy's weakness. Like
That
maybe
sounds like Matt Brown.
aka Mac Brown.
Yeah.
But we'll get there later.
Okay.
Well, anyways, the other guy was Michael McDonald, who I was banking that he was going to be Henning Brow back.
So was I. I thought he almost could have beat Henning Brow in the first round.
And he showed, and he, I think he just showed why he deserved that title shot at
So
that
he's
time,
there, but almost
and why
not, yeah.
he's still in the running. Because I mean, he put on an Michael Pickett was like running circles, doing the stinky leg, and then showing why he's a top caliber fighter. Michael McDonald took his time, picked his shots, and then the second round didn't want to rush in, and then ended up winning
in
by
order
triangle.
for what does Michael McDonald need to work on to beat Henning Brown?
Well,
what do you guys think?
Brad Pickett's a tough fighter. He's been
Yeah.
on the losing end of some tough matches recently, but I think that was a good performance from Michael McDonald. But I think
Because outside of that power punch that Michael McDonald does have, I mean, like,
Well, he's
Henning Brow
it's
was
all
able.
around
he's
switching
good
levels
overall,
of footwork.
But if you look at the Henning Brow fight, I think he kind of like I don't know how you describe it, but I wouldn't say he was tired or anything like. But you could tell he lost that surge. You get me? That he had like an adrenaline dump almost.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I felt like he had an adrenaline dump because he couldn't finish Henning Brow, and then he got that adrenaline dump, and he kind of like gave in to the.
that almost separates a champion
Yeah.
from other people. Like you're able to keep going longer, like a Mighty Mouse. He gets stronger as the fight goes on.
Yeah.
So
So
that's how
I don't
most
think.
champions
I
dominate.
don't think Michael McDonald has anything that has to do anything as far as
As a
skill wise,
level,
but
it's just
more
a preparation, mental focus.
staying in there
Pace
the whole
yourself.
time. Yeah. And that's all I have for the prelims, at least.
Okay, so then let's
Are we
move on
skipping
to
Matt
the.
Brown? Are we skipping Matt
No,
Brown?
Matt Brown was in the main card.
No, yeah. So let's move on to the main card. We had any highlights first of all?
Well,
Before
first of all,
the last three bouts were probably that had the most story.
Yeah,
no story. If you want to look at the bottom half,
Yeah.
it was nothing but disappointment. It's
Well,
except for Michael Johnson, but then again,
Michael Johnson versus Joe Lozon.
yeah, it was, again, I mean, everyone for some reason Joe Lawson has a lot of respect in the MMA community and by Dana White, but
Well,
Michael,
like his motto was it just bleed or
yeah,
Just bleed or get
Or
your
Michael-
ass whooped.
or like earn like I think his
whoa,
he has a banner like in his gym where like we fight for the extra bonus money or something like
Or I
that.
don't know.
Something like that.
Something
I mean,
dumb.
That's not really a good way
yeah,
to
but Michael
have your career
Michael Jackson
go longer.
Michael Johnson pretty much picked him apart, did whatever he wanted to do, and he made himself look good that day. And the Black Zillions need every win they can take to stay relevant.
Well, Michael Johnson didn't he recently lose?
he
in his last
recently
fight?
lost like twice,
And
in
he
a row.
didn't look good.
And he did not look good. So he needed this one very badly, and he did look good. But then again, like I told you, like I don't know if that should mean anything.
Joe Lozon, you kind
yeah. And then oh my gosh, and then
Uriah Hall versus John Doomsday Howard.
I mean, I can't
Doomsday Howard making his return.
yeah.
And
At a division
Boston
that he
native.
doesn't belong at.
But he wanted to be on the card.
Yeah.
Because he's a
Yeah.
Boston native. So I kind of think the UFC, you want to be on the card so bad,
And-
huh? We'll
yeah.
give you Uriah Hall.
And then he's a small middleweight too. I mean, he doesn't deserve to. He doesn't belong in that division.
Honestly, watching the fight, I thought Uriah Hall was gonna win. I mean, like you see parts of that fight, and you're like, wow, Uriah Hall. If he could just turn that switch,
Yeah.
he can end this fight right now.
Well,
and it never happened.
I get the feeling that he's just satisfied to be in the UFC, and that's it. I think like, oh, I'm in the UFC, that's what I want to do, and he has no other goals set in mind. I don't think he even thinks about the title or anything like that, because you can see him like he's not a fighter. He didn't even
I think people
show
like,
that killer instinct.
he had so much hype during that season. Like he was a fighter everyone was talking about. Like they would just show Uriah Hall highlights. Come see what Uriah Hall did this week. I mean, he was already what Cage said before this. He was already over, right?
Yeah.
So I think now, I think people didn't pay attention to his record coming into Ultimate Fighter. It wasn't really his win-loss ratio wasn't that great,
No, it wasn't.
and now it's getting even worse. Now 2 straight losses. But I don't know. Like I think maybe he's just happy to be on the show.
Yeah, hopefully. they
Well,
keep
more
him-
credit for
Yeah.
John Doomsday Howard for staying in there
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
that too.
getting the win at the end.
Yeah, but I think there's so much hype around Uriah Hall. It's always going to be Uriah Hall lost again, not some John Howard beat him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really hope they give him one more chance, and Uriah Hall wakes up and turns into the guy we all expect.
Or if not, send him down RFA. Maybe.
Or send him to RFA and see what's up.
See, this is why.
But then
needed.
I actually went the whole day. I was pretty tired the whole day, and then the whole time I'm like, it's okay. I can take a nap when Matt Brown goes and fight. I'm like, I'll take a quick
Versus
power.
Mike
15-minute
Pyle.
Yeah, I was like, I'll take a quick power nap. And then Matt Brown just had to get on my nerves one more because I wasn't even able to nap because he finished the fight in like 20 seconds. So I didn't even. So
You weren't impressed by that knockout?
No. So thanks, Matt Brown, for not letting me take my power nap.
Well, he wins, but kind of not really, but kind of calls out GSP, right? Chooses his words wisely.
He says Mike Pyle is equivalent to GSP,
or
so
better than GSP.
Or better than GSP. Give me GSP.
Even though Mike Pyle's record's kind of shaky
and he's like 39 years old.
The caliber of talent that he has, this winning streak, wasn't compared to GSP's.
Yeah, but 6 fights in a row, still 6 fights in a row.
Well, I wasn't too impressed by it. Give him a top welterweight, and let's see what he does.
I just want to nip this one too. Please give Matt Brown a top 10. I'm begging you, give him a top 10.
Give him Ellenberger. Give him
Robbie Lawler, maybe?
No. Give him like Carlos Condon. Let him learn his lesson.
You want to be on the top 10?
Give him the winner of Martin Kampman versus Carlos Condon.
So I really hope they don't rank him in the top 10 because that's what I kept hearing. Like, oh, he's going to be in the top 10.
I don't think so.
Fight a top 10, and then we'll see.
Well, he's only beat Josh Koscheck up in the top 10.
Yeah.
So the next fight was Uriah Faber versus Yuri. Well,
we're one of the very.
I guess Brazilians don't have a Y.
Yeah.
Yuri Alcantara.
We were the very few exception out there that was hyping up Yuri and saying that he's awesome, this and that, and he came out guns blazing.
Oh, I thought you had the perfect game plan. Like, let me surprise this guy.
It looked like it was really going to work. And I even told Guillermo during the fight, I was like, hey, Yuri's doing what he got to do, but I told him, but don't call out Uriah Faber yet, because if anything is known about these alpha males, it's like they're dogs. I mean,
he had like a body triangle. I thought it was gonna be rear naked chokehold.
I mean, you saw. I mean, he was getting destroyed by Jose Aldo. Had no more hands, had no more legs, and he was still at it. So I was telling Guillermo, I mean, you got to keep watching because you got to literally put Uriah Faber away, or else he's not going to go away. So, and he showed that
he is able to get the decision victory. Almost
dominant too.
Yeah, it's almost like he's now the one in line again. If he can't get past Uriah Faber, you're not getting a towel shot in that 135.
Which brings up an interesting conversation. Maybe Uriah Faber versus Michael McDonald.
Which is what they were already talking about, that they're friends, but they will put their friendship aside to fight. You're looking at Uriah Faber.
This is his third fight this year already. He's won all 3 of them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's done for this year anyways.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Because if you look at Henan Brow, he has Eddie Wineland, and then if Dominic Cruz comes back,
rumored to come early next year.
Yeah,
so
maybe it's going to be that fight. So you're looking at Uriah Faber.
So what they can do is have that maybe have Faber and McDonald line up on that same card with Barao or whoever, if Barao wins against Dominic Cruz, and have that line up perfectly. Because
the only thing I noticed about this fight is the judging, the scores. That the judge for the end. It was 30-26, 29-26, 29-26. I was like, how did they get the 26?
They had some weird numbers the whole night. Like, some of them you're like, what?
Well, I think
they got everyone correct, I would say.
Yeah, they got it correct, but I was like, where did they get the 26 from?
At the same time,
wasn't there a lot of kind of little bumps in the road to get this card in Boston anyways? Like, Chael Sonnen was almost going to get. So I think maybe Boston has to get their MMA game, or Massachusetts has to get their MMA game up a little bit to get with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah, and then right after that, I was like, oh, man, this looks like a main event caliber fight. And then I was like, oh, wait, we still have Alistair Overeem versus Travis Brownie.
So you're excited about this fight?
Oh, I was excited.
I was excited because I thought Overeem was going to give Travis Brownie a beating, which he did. But 30 seconds. It didn't play out that way because, and again, I don't understand these Black Zillions. I mean, they really need to look at their coaching staff because I found it weird that Overeem had that fight.
And this is from the guy that watches the Reem every single day.
I do not miss a Reem documentary. Know that. I watch it twice. I watch it in slow motion. I rewatch it. Rewind. It's really good. But he had the fight won, but then he went and turned himself out on wasted punches. I mean, Travis Brownie was hurt, but he was blocking good, and Overeem was just unleashing on him, but he was hitting the guy's hand. And this is where I give credit more to, I'm saying, like, this is the difference between Cain Velasquez and these fighters. Because Cain Velasquez would have picked his shot, done that, when he goes under the armpit and does that uppercut. I mean, someone should yell at Overeem, or everyone should have knew, look, listen, I have him hurt. Let's pick a good shot and finish this fight. I mean, the guy was turtled up. He could have, and he turtled up because he landed a vicious knee. He could have push him against the cage, and landed some knees to the body. Continue
what
doing
is
it.
Overeem known for? His knees, his
Yeah,
leg kicks,
yeah.
right?
So I don't know what was going in his mind, and I don't know why his corner wasn't yelling to the top of their heads, select your punch, don't waste your energy. And sure enough, Overeem tired out. He again showed disrespect with the stand-up and kind of flat-footed walked up to Travis Brownie, all exhausted and tired.
Front kick to the
and
face.
of course, Travis Brownie front kick to the face and finished it. And like I told you, I mean, I don't like Travis Brownie, but I also don't like to demoralize him, saying like, oh, that doesn't mean anything. But at the same time, it was more like Overeem set himself up.
If people are asking the question if Travis Browning is now ready in line for a title shot, I don't think so, because we're getting proof now that Alistair Overeem wasn't a title contender to begin with.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, you beat a big name, but in reality, Overeem wasn't even ready to.
I think it makes more sense for Travis to face Bigfoot Silva again.
Yeah.
Because Travis Brownie's only lost. Yeah, avenge his loss, and at the same time, he says if it wasn't for his knee, he probably would have won the fight. So, all right, let's see it.
Yeah.
And I think this will prove more. If Travis Brown does deserve to be next in line.
Yeah, or Verdum or one of the Nogueira brothers, or Nogueira.
Well, Nogueira's looking for skyscraper, but
for some reason,
That's weird.
Yeah. I mean, he's hoping I have to get one of these limbs and catch him in a submission. So hopefully,
yeah. So let's move on to the main event.
But before we do, I just want to say goodbye to the Reem, and I enjoyed the documentary.
You'll still be watching.
I'm gonna say bye.
No, Dana White did say he's uncertain about his future. I mean, I'm not.
He's still a name you can still sell.
Yeah. Okay, but
I mean, like they say, nobody knew his contract. So like it was a 3-fight deal. If it is 3 fights are up already, 4-fight deal, got one more left. So what was it, a 4-fight deal? You think they usually sign?
I give
3
or
or
take.
4.
It would make sense, a 4-fight deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the main event, and I thought I was surprised.
Chael Sonnen versus Shogun Mauricio Shogun
and
Rua.
I wasn't surprised because it wasn't like I didn't know Chael Sonnen was a good wrestler. It wasn't like I didn't know that Chael Sonnen can submit a Shogun Rua. I didn't
know Chael Sonnen could submit. I didn't know that.
Well, he submitted Brian Stan.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but that was a little bit different.
It wasn't that. It surprised me how easy he made it look. It was almost too easy for Chael Sonnen to do what he did that yesterday.
Are you calling shenanigans in this fight?
No, I'm not calling shenanigans. I'm saying that Chael Sonnen is in top of his game because he made it look easy.
Well, people were saying that they were impressed by Chael Sonnen, but
it's not like a resurgent show.
Exactly.
I mean, he's old. He's had 2 title shots, 3 title shots.
He just fought John
But he made it look easy though, so it's like
against Shogun.
So does that mean Shogun's down? He's going down his skill level. He's not a top contender anymore, or is it that Chael Sonnen?
I think he showed that in the Brand Verify. I get mad when people be like Brand Verify, or maybe they're just that they're both not good.
So I think Chelsea and Shogun's now into the part of his career now where like a wanderlust is.
I think he's in purgatory MMA now, where
Purgatory?
It's like he can't go. There's no way he can go for the title anymore, and you're not quite sure who to match him up with because you don't know if he deserves to be matched up with top 10 or does he need a.
Shogun has the capability to ruin somebody's rise to a title shot, and you don't want to do that because, like, okay, well, the Shogun just kind of like the Vitor Belfort thing. You want to give him a guy on the front line, and then what if he knocks him out? Then there goes your title shot.
So what's next for Shogun?
For sure, I don't know, but I think whenever a victory for Chael Sonnen, whenever Chael Sonnen is in the spotlight for MMA, it's going to be a good thing. But as far as like this is the second emergence for Chael Sonnen, give him a title shot right away. No.
No, I agree.
That's why he called it Wanderlei. I mean, a fight between him and Wanderlei has no implication whatsoever other than selling out an arena.
Well, yeah, that and settling a feud.
So, I'm hoping.
Still trying to find Wanderlei.
Hopefully, we see the Chael Sonnen.
Didn't you know when they were in the van?
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Oh, they were arguing in the van, saying, "I don't want you disrespecting Brazil," blah blah blah. And Chael Sonnen was like, "I was talking to Anderson Silva, not you."
So real quick before we go, you got the survey results?
Oh yeah, it was last week's survey was
it was would you prefer to see MMA in an octagon or in a ring or in a cage or in a ring?
Yeah, you caught me off guard.
We had Maximum Fighting Championship media title relation. Scott Zeron, Max MFC does it in a ring. We asked him why. He said aesthetically it looks better. The crowd could see the fight going on live. So basically for live it looks better, and on TV I guess too. And we posed that question to our audience.
Yeah,
cage or a ring? What do you prefer?
And ring actually won 77%.
Really?
Yeah, overwhelming.
I guess people want to watch the fights.
Yeah.
And so what's the new survey question?
Does the UFC need a minor league system?
Yep. with
So-
the whole RFA-WC thing. Do they need a minor league system?
And that'll be our question. And then I think that'll be the last question of the
Yeah,
month.
and then we'll announce the winner.
We'll announce the winner.
Is that it for today?
That's it.
That's it for
All
today.
right, guys. So make sure to check back next week as we preview UFC Fight Night, Condit versus Catman 2, and also have a preview of UFC 164, Henderson versus Pettis 2, Showtime versus Bendo. So make sure to follow us on Twitter at FiveRoundMMA. Subscribe to us on iTunes and YouTube. Also like us on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. And always check out 5RoundMMA for latest news, articles, commentaries, and our web show posts there first of all. And I also want to thank our sponsors, Honey Badger, drinkhoneybadger.com. Then I want to thank the Madhouse clothing line. Go shop the madhouse.com and follow them on Twitter at the Madhouse MMA. And also a big thank you to Top Rated MMA, 100% American made MMA apparel. Go shop their stuff at topratedmma.com and follow them on Twitter at topratedmma. I'll bring some final words.
Just want to thank our producer Guillermo Cita, our technician Ollie the Trolley, our sound engineer Steven Rosal with Rosal Records. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, and then thank you for Top Rated MMA for the Alan Belcher card. And then thank you, RFA9.